Have you ever heard of a woman who may have helped kill hundreds of abusive husbands across 17th century Italy? Her name was Giulia Tofana, and despite being one of the most infamous figures in criminal history, many people have never heard of her. Depending on which historical account you believe, she was either a ruthless serial killer, a skilled poisoner, or a woman who became a secret ally to wives trapped in miserable marriages. The truth is that nearly 400 years later, Giulia Tofana remains surrounded by mystery. There are no confirmed portraits of her, historians disagree on several details of her life, some stories about her sound almost too unbelievable to be true. Yet one thing appears consistently throughout the surviving records: the name Aqua Tofana. A poison so famous that it became legendary. To understand why Gilead became such a notorious figure, we first need to understand the world she lived in. 17th century Italy was a very different place from today. Marriage was often less about love and more about family alliances, social status, and financial arrangements. Many women had little influence over whom they married. Once married, legal and social power heavily favored husbands. For women trapped in unhappy or abusive relationships, options were extremely limited. Divorce was rare and often impossible depending on social class, location, and religious circumstances. A wife who attempted to leave her husband could face enormous consequences. Against that backdrop, stories began to spread about a woman who offered a solution. Her name was Giulia Tofana. According to historical accounts, Giulia may have been the daughter of a woman named Tofania di Adamo, who was reportedly executed in 1633 for murdering her husband. Whether Giulia inherited knowledge from her mother or learned her skills independently remains unclear. What does seem likely is that Giulia became highly knowledgeable about cosmetics, medicinal preparations, and chemical mixtures. She spent time around apothecaries, learning about ingredients and remedies commonly used during the period. Eventually, she created a substance that would become infamous through Italy: Aqua Tofana. Descriptions of Aqua Tofana vary, but most accounts describe it as a clear, colorless liquid that could easily be mistaken for a cosmetic product, perfume, or medicinal treatment. Its exact formula remains unknown today. Many historians believe it may have contained substances such as arsenic, lead, and belladonna. These ingredients were not entirely unfamiliar in the 17th century. Various toxic materials appeared in medicines, cosmetics, and household products long before their dangers were fully understood. What made Aqua Tofana unique was not simply its toxicity, it was the way it was used. Unlike poisons that killed quickly, Aqua Tofana was reportedly designed to work gradually. Small doses could be administered over days or weeks. Victims would initially appear to suffer from common illnesses. As symptoms worsened, the condition could resemble a natural disease rather than deliberate poisoning. According to the stories that survive, the first symptoms often resembled a mild sickness. Later came vomiting, weakness, dehydration, and severe stomach distress. By the time that occurred, many physicians believed the victim had simply succumbed to illness. In an era without modern forensic science, proving murder was extraordinarily difficult, and that made Aqua Tofana incredibly dangerous. Giulia's operation was also remarkably discreet. Rather than openly selling poison, she allegedly disguised Aqua Tofana as an ordinary cosmetic product. Some versions were reportedly packaged in containers resembling BT treatments, others were hidden inside small decorative bottles that looked like religious or medicinal items. A bottle could sit openly on a dressing table without attracting suspicion. To anyone looking at it, it appeared completely harmless. Over time, word began to spread among women, not through advertisements, not through public sales, but through whispered conversations. A recommendation from a trusted friend, a secret passed on one wife to another. According to historical accounts, Giulia was extremely selective about whom she dealt with. New customers often required introductions from existing clients. Secrecy was essential. If authorities discovered what was happening, not only would Giulia face execution, but many of her customers could face the same fate. The network operated quietly for years, possibly decades. Some accounts claim that Giulia and her associates continued selling Aqua Tofana for nearly 50 years. If true, it would make her operation one of the longest-running criminal enterprises of its kind in European history. What makes the story even more fascinating is the image of Giulia that emerges from historical accounts. She was not portrayed as a random killer seeking victims. Instead, many stories describe her as someone who primarily sold to women trapped in desperate situations. Whether these women were escaping abuse, loveless marriages, or simply seeking freedom is impossible to know in most cases. That distinction has led to centuries of debate. Was Giulia a murderer, a criminal entrepreneur, or a symbol of resistance against a society that offered many women no legal way out? The answer depends largely on how you interpret the historical evidence. Eventually, however, the operation came crashing down. According to the most widely repeated story, one of Giulia's customers purchased Aqua Tofana intending to use it on her husband. She prepared a meal and added poison to his food. But at the last moment, something changed. Perhaps guilt, perhaps fear. Whatever the reason, she panicked and begged her husband not to eat. Naturally, her sudden behavior raised immediate suspicion. The husband demanded an explanation, and under pressure, the wife confessed. Authorities soon became involved, and during questioning, she reportedly revealed information about Aqua Tofana and the woman who supplied it. When word reached Giulia, she knew her situation had become dangerous. She fled and sought sanctuary in a church. For a brief period, it appeared she might avoid arrest. Then rumors began spreading throughout Rome. One rumor claimed that Giulia had poisoned the city's water supply. There is no evidence this actually happened, but fear spread rapidly. Public anger intensified, and eventually authorities took action. Giulia was arrested. What happened next is difficult to reconstruct with certainty. Records from the period are incomplete, and interrogations often involved coercion or torture. Historical sources claim that Giulia eventually confessed to involvement in hundreds of poisonings. The figure most commonly repeated is around 600 victims. Whether that number is accurate remains a matter of debate. Nevertheless, authorities treated the allegations as fact. In 1659, Giulia Tofana, her daughter, and several associates were executed in Rome's Campo de' Fiori, a public square that had become known for executions. With her death, the legend of Aqua Tofana might have ended. Instead, it grew. Centuries later, historians, writers, and true crime enthusiasts still debate her story. Some researchers believe that basic events are largely true, even if certain details have been exaggerated over time. Others argue that the surviving records are too unreliable to separate fact from myth. And then there is perhaps the most intriguing question of all. Who was Giulia Tofana really? A mass murderer? A folk hero? A victim of historical exaggeration? Or someone whose real story was lost long ago, buried beneath centuries of rumors, fear, and legend? We may never know for certain, but whether the numbers was 60, 600, or somewhere in between, the tale of Aqua Tofana remains one of the history's most fascinating mysteries. And that mystery is exactly why people are still talking about Giulia Tofana nearly 400 years later. So what do you think? Was Giulia Tofana one of history's most prolific poisoners, or has her story grown larger than reality through centuries of retelling? Let me know your thoughts below.